Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Millions missing from Yasin Bank's account at investment firm SSL. A probe has been launched into millions of dollars reportedly missing from accounts belonging to Sprint legend Usain Bolt, a Jamaican investment firm stock and Securities Limited SSL, the sports stars manager Nugent Walker confirms. SSL has reported the call in the police. Walker told reporters that the former athlete became aware of the discrepancies with his accounts on Wednesday. All the relevant steps have been taken to come to the bottom of this, he stated, informing reporters that the Financial Investigations Division and Financial Services Commission are among the entities to which reports have been made. Noting that the investigation is still going on, Walker said he was unable to disclose the sums involved or the time period covered by the investigation. He's been with this entity for over 10 years. His entire portfolio is being reviewed, Walker said. Reporters has learned that a former employee at SSL has been implicated in a massive fraud at the entity, including the missing sums from Bolt's account. Attorney at law Tamika Harris, who is representing a former employee at SSL, would say very little about the matter involving her client. My client is in discussion with SSL and the lawyers representing SSL, she told reporters. She said these discussions started about 2 weeks ago. 11 detained, guns and ammo seized in St. James security operation. 11 people have been detained and 2 guns as well as ammunition seized in a major police military operation underway in St. James. The police have not yet released the details surrounding the find of a submachine gun and a Glock pistol. A post to the Jamaica Constable Force Twitter page said almost 40 rounds of ammunition were also seized during simultaneous operations across St. James. The operations are continuing. MOH encouraging Jamaicans to take the flu vaccine. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising members of the public to get the flu vaccine. It notes that the influenza virus circulates worldwide and can affect anyone in any age group. Children, healthcare workers, the elderly with chronic illnesses, pregnant women, individuals who are institutionalized or in state care, and non-health frontline workers are at particularly high risk, a media release from the ministry says. The flu season in Jamaica is from October to May. The vaccine is recommended annually, every flu season, and is available to members of the public free of cost. The Health Ministry is encouraging private healthcare providers to procure the vaccine through private distributors in order to provide for the general public. Influenza is an acute viral infection that spreads easily from one individual to another through coughing, sneezing, and close contact. It can have severe symptoms in children, including diarrhea and seizures, and should also be taken seriously by adults, as it can lead to pneumonia and blood infections. More common symptoms can include fever, chills, sore throat, muscle aches, fatigue, cough, headache, and running or snuffy nose. Individuals who suspect that they may have the flu are advised to get adequate rest, avoid close contact with other individuals, and avoid touching the eyes, nose, and mouth. Members of the public are also advised to boost their immune system through healthy eating, exercise, and keeping hydrated. Government urged to provide time frame on finalization of negotiations on the new compensation program. Opposition spokesman and finance Julian Robinson is calling on the government to provide a proposed time frame for the finalization of negotiations with the nation teachers and police officers under the new public sector compensation program. At the People's National Party PNP press conference on Thursday morning, Mr. Robinson noted that there continued to be a major concern around the process. He said one of these concerns is that some public bodies have not yet been engaged in the process. Mr. Robinson expressed concern that negotiations have not been finalized with police officers and teachers who represent a large percentage of the public sector. Mr. Robinson also called for an update on the establishment of the public sector pension fund.
And by public bodies, we're talking about statutory organizations like the National Housing Trust, the National Water Commission. They don't know what this process means for them. And there's a great degree of anxiety and apprehension among employees within the public bodies about how the compensation review will affect them. And while the government has signed up what I would call most employees in the central civil service, there are a number of critical agencies that have not come on board. And what do I mean by critical agencies? I'm talking about like the fire brigade. I'm talking about the correctional services. I'm talking about air traffic controllers. Those critical agencies are yet to be brought on board in the compensation review. I would like to know, what is the proposed time frame for us to complete those negotiations? Because those two bodies are critical to the development of the country. Certainly the police officers feel a great sense of demotivation right now. They don't have adequate resources to even do the basic responsibilities that they have. And they don't believe that up to now they're being treated fairly or they're being recognized for the sacrifices. And the sacrifices we talk about are every single day they go out there, they put their lives on the line to protect the citizens of Jamaica. Those important bodies need to be dealt with urgency and with equity so that we can complete this entire process. There is a public sector pension fund which is to be established, and I would like to have an idea of the time frame for that now that the government contributes and individual employees are now required to contribute to that fund. When that fund is going to be established, what is the management of that fund going to look like?
I have this afternoon released to the media the correspondence between myself and Minister Malahoo Fort in relation to this committee which she is seeking to set up to look at the whole issue of constitutional reform. This is an issue which Jamaica has gone through a process of bipartisan engagement in the 1990s and the following decade, and certain positions were agreed. The minister wants to revisit that and has also ideas of her own which she wishes to pursue. I have asked her to be specific with me at the outset as to what the government intends to do and what they intend to pursue in terms of amendments to the Charter of Rights in particular. The Charter of Rights was enacted with bipartisan support in 2011, and I would like to know where the government is seeking to go with it in terms of changes to the Charter, because we know the context of the government's attitude towards the Constitution, whether it be things like undated letters of resignation which their senators were forced to sign, or the NIDS legislation which they refused to send to a joint select committee and had to be struck down by the court, and indeed the way in which states of emergency have been used as ordinary policing tools by this government over the last 5 years. So before we participate in the committee, I would like to know the direction the government is intending to go, because it may require some further discussions between us to try and find consensus if possible. And I'm hoping she will make full disclosure of the specific amendments that they will be pursuing in relation to the Charter of Rights. She has also said that the referendum, which is going to be necessary for Jamaica to become a republic, is going to also deal with other matters. I've asked her to be specific about that and indicate which other matters the government intends to put before the people by way of referendum as amendments to the Constitution, because those provisions would be deeply entrenched provisions, and I have no idea which provisions they intend to try and amend in that way, other than the ones relating to the monarchy. So that's a second point where I've asked for disclosure. I'd like to proceed with our eyes open with this, because the government's record on constitutional matters is extremely poor, in our opinion, and we must ensure that the rights of the Jamaican people are defended. The other major issue of concern to us is that as we embark on becoming a republic with a Jamaican as a head of state, and no longer have as our head of state the British monarch, which is something we fully endorse and would like to see happen, we feel that this exercise ought to include the full decolonization of Jamaica and the full achievement of sovereignty and political independence. And that must include that our final court of appeal become the Caribbean Court of Justice, which Jamaica was one of the participating countries that set up and fully funded over a decade ago, and cannot continue to be Her Majesty's Privy Council in London. Jamaicans do not have access to that court without a visa, Their lawyers need visas to go as well. The costs of litigating in England are extremely high and way out of reach of ordinary Jamaican people. And we feel that this is a practical benefit for the Jamaican people that must be secured as part of a total decolonization of Jamaica, and to proceed with the move away from the monarchy without moving away from the monarch's court is not acceptable to us. And we're urging the government to not proceed in that piecemeal way, but to do a comprehensive exercise of decolonization, as has happened in other Caribbean countries which are progressively minded.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell.